Do you know which animals are most deadly to humans? It may not be what you think. In the vast wilderness of our planet, danger lurks in the most unexpected corners. While we often fear the sharp-toothed predators of the animal kingdom, it's not always the big, fearsome creatures that pose the greatest threat to our survival. In fact, some of the world's deadliest creatures may surprise you, and they're not always the ones making headlines or starring in horror films. From the smallest insect to our own species, the list of humanity's most lethal foes is diverse and fascinating, filled with creatures that are as interesting as they are deadly. This countdown will take us on a journey through a variety of habitats, exploring the surprising ways in which different species interact with and sometimes kill humans. So, without further ado, let's dive right into our countdown. Starting off our list at number 10, we have the freshwater snails. Now, these little mollusks might seem harmless at first glance, but they are far from it. Unbeknownst to many, freshwater snails are carriers of a dangerous disease known as schistosomiasis. This disease is caused by parasitic flatworms called schistosomes. The life cycle of these parasites is rather fascinating, albeit in a somewhat morbid way. They lay eggs in the intestines or bladder of infected humans, which are then passed into the water via waste. Freshwater snails then become infected when they come into contact with this contaminated water, and the cycle continues. Schistosomiasis is not to be taken lightly. It's a serious disease that can cause a host of unpleasant symptoms, from abdominal pain and diarrhea to more severe complications such as liver damage, kidney failure, and even bladder cancer. In children, it can impair growth and cognitive development. The World Health Organization estimates that over 200 million people worldwide are infected with schistosomiasis, with the majority of cases in Africa. Regrettably, this disease often hits the poorest communities the hardest, where access to clean water and sanitation facilities is limited. But don't be too quick to judge these unassuming killers. The freshwater snails themselves are not the problem. They are merely unfortunate hosts to the schistosome parasites. It's a cruel twist of fate, really. These snails, which many might consider beautiful or even cute, are unwittingly implicated in one of the world's most deadly diseases. Efforts are being made to control the spread of schistosomiasis, primarily through improving sanitation and providing access to clean water. But it's a tough battle, and one that is far from won. So there you have it, the humble freshwater snail, a surprising entry in our list of the world's most deadly creatures to humans. It's a potent reminder that danger can come in the most unassuming of packages, and that we should never underestimate the power of nature. Next up, an insect you might not expect. At number 9, we have the assassin bugs. Now, don't let the name fool you. These bugs are not as menacing as they sound, at least not in the conventional sense. They don't have sharp claws or fangs, and they're certainly not the size of your average predator. Yet they are some of the most dangerous creatures on Earth. Assassin bugs earn their sinister name from their deadly modus operandi. They don't just bite their victims, they inject them with a dangerous parasite called Trypanosoma cruzi. This parasite is the cause of Chagas disease, a silent killer that can lie dormant in a person's body for years, even decades, before revealing its deadly symptoms. Chagas disease is a serious condition, and its impact on the human body is nothing short of devastating. It starts with flu-like symptoms such as fever, fatigue, body aches, headache, and rash. Over time, the disease can lead to more severe health problems, including heart disease, and in some cases, it can even be fatal. But what makes assassin bugs so deadly isn't just the disease they carry. It's their stealth. They are silent assassins, attacking their victims unnoticed. They usually strike at night when people are sleeping, and their bites are often painless. This means that many people who are infected with Chagas disease don't even know they have it until it's too late. And while these bugs are primarily found in the Americas, global travel and climate change are causing their range to expand. This means that more and more people are at risk of coming into contact with these deadly insects. So remember, size and strength aren't everything in the animal kingdom. Sometimes the smallest creatures can be the deadliest. That's certainly the case with assassin bugs. They may not look like much, but they are silent assassins, and their impact on human health is profound. As we move up the list, our next animal is even more surprising. Coming in at number 8, we have tapeworms. Now, I know what you're thinking, tapeworms? Those little squiggly things? Yes, indeed, those little squiggly things. They might seem harmless, but their impact on human health is far from it. These parasitic worms are known to cause a disease called cysticercosis, a condition that can have severe consequences for those unlucky enough to contract it. You see, tapeworms have a rather cunning life cycle. Their eggs are typically ingested by humans through contaminated food or water. Once inside the body, these eggs hatch into larvae that can travel throughout the body, lodging themselves in various tissues, including the brain and muscles. Now, here's where it gets nasty. These larvae grow into cysts, causing a condition known as cysticercosis. If these cysts form in the brain, it can lead to a serious condition called neurocysticercosis. This can result in seizures, headaches, and in some cases, even death. So how do we avoid these hidden threats? Well, it's all about maintaining good hygiene practices. It's crucial to wash your hands regularly, especially before eating or preparing food, and to ensure that your food is cooked thoroughly, particularly in regions where tapeworm infections are common. But what's perhaps most unsettling about tapeworms is their stealth. Many people with cysticercosis don't show symptoms for months or even years after infection, meaning that these hidden threats can lurk undetected, wreaking havoc from within. So, while we might be quick to fear the more obvious predators in the animal kingdom, it's worth remembering that some of the most dangerous creatures are those that we can't see. It's these hidden threats, like tapeworms, that remind us that not all dangers come with teeth and claws. And now, onto an animal that might be more familiar. At number 7, we have the tsetse flies. These seemingly insignificant insects are actually carriers of a devastating disease known as sleeping sickness. Found predominantly in sub-Saharan Africa, these flies are responsible for countless human fatalities each year. Sleeping sickness, officially known as human African trypanosomiasis, is a disease that's as insidious as it is deadly. It begins with a simple bite from a tsetse fly. The fly is a carrier of a parasite, and it's this parasite that causes the disease. Once inside the human body, the parasite multiplies and starts to wreak havoc. In the early stages, symptoms can be mild and easy to overlook. A fever, headaches, joint pains. These could be symptoms of any number of common illnesses, but as the disease progresses, the symptoms become more severe. Confusion, poor coordination, numbness, the disease starts to affect the central nervous system. If left untreated, the disease can cause significant neurological damage, and eventually, it can lead to death. The impact of sleeping sickness on human populations, particularly in rural areas of Africa, is profound. Not only does it cause human suffering and loss of life, but it also hampers economic development. Those affected by the disease are often unable to work, and their families may be left without a source of income. Efforts to control the tsetse fly population and to treat those infected with sleeping sickness are ongoing. But progress is slow, and the disease remains a major public health concern in many parts of Africa. So, the next time you swat away a fly, spare a thought for those who live in fear of the tsetse fly. It's not just a nuisance, it's a deadly enemy. And now for our final animal, an apex predator. And finally, at number 1, we have mosquitoes. Now that might come as a surprise to many. These tiny, buzzing creatures, seemingly insignificant, are in fact the ultimate predators. How so? Well, mosquitoes are responsible for transmitting deadly diseases such as malaria, dengue and Zika. Let's put this into perspective, shall we? Malaria alone affected over 200 million people worldwide in a single year and claimed the lives of nearly 500,000. Dengue fever isn't far behind, with an estimated 50 to 100 million infections annually. And Zika, while less common, can result in severe birth defects when pregnant women are infected. These minuscule insects have an enormous impact, causing suffering and death on a massive scale, far outstripping any other animal on our list. So there you have it, the top 10 most deadly animals to humans. Some of them might surprise you. Remember, not all dangers come in large packages.